there, good evening. The Packers' losing streak is over. It was Randy Newman, I believe, who's saying, I love L.A., and that's what the Packers would do. I love the L.A. Rams without Matthew Stafford. Oh, it's tremendous. And the Packers kind of needed that. It was a close game through the first half, and they're able to pull away for a 20-3 victory. We'll tell you all about it. That's not all we have coming up tonight, though. Here's our starting lineup. The Packers get a much-needed win against the Rams. The Bucks begin tournament play. Yeah, Damian Lillard calls game on the Knicks. Aaron Jones shows us why he was born to run and say what? We're less than 24 hours away from college basketball in Milwaukee. We'll talk about heightened expectations across the board, and we finish up by calling checkmate in this week's High School Hot Shot.
I think there's a lot of people, or a lot of, it's just human nature. You lose a couple games, things aren't going your way, guys are injured, whatever. A lot of people would give up, kind of be like, oh man, season's over, but everybody, in here has been resilient.
We definitely came out, played with some fight, played with some energy, juice, played like we were just hungry for a win. And if we just keep that up moving forward, we got the guys, like I said, we got the guys to do what we need to do.
Well, what they needed to do today was win a football game. They did take advantage of a lesser opponent, and that losing streak is over. 20-3, the final score. The Packers are 3-5. And did it just feel like the load was lifted, Brandon?
It did, and you can just tell by the way they came off the field into the tunnel and into the locker room. It was a very joyful group, a lot of jumping, a lot of smiling, a lot of yelling. And you can tell also by listening to them talk about how much this meant and what this can do for them moving forward. Energy, a big word used today after this win, because they felt like they took so much off of their shoulders and now have created energy to move forward. Now, what will that say next week against Pittsburgh? We will have to wait and see, obviously. But right now on this Sunday night, they're riding that energy pretty well into the week, and that has to bode well for them after they change things up going into this week to try to get this win.
And we're looking at, speaking of changing things up, a long pass that works to Christian Watson. And Lily's out. We're looking at Jordan Love with more decision, more aggressive, more assertiveness than we've seen from him.
Right, and that's exactly what this team needed. I think we saw it in the 2-minute offense with the Packers in the first half. They couldn't really get anything done, but Jordan Love, just for some reason, just a different quarterback in the second half, and he was making decisive throws, and he had a bunch of good ones, especially there to Christian Watson. They finally connect on a deep ball, and that really boosts his confidence, right? And it also boosts the confidence of Watson, because he made that contested catch. But I do think that Jordan Love in this game proved he can be the guy, again, if everyone around him is playing well. And I think they did that in the second half. And he really was a guy that you looked to in the second half to say, can we get this team back in the game? Can we have that knockout punch? Can we have the dagger of a play? And they certainly did down the stretch. So encouraged by what Jordan Love was able to do in this game. And I think just the smile on his face afterwards said it all. They were happy they got the win against a lesser opponent, but they needed this one. So much so for their confidence building.
The quarterback rating there of 115.5. That's a much higher number than it's been recently because he avoided the interception. The turnovers are a big part of any game. They were today. In this case, they kind of favored the Packers.
Yeah, and it was funny, too, because what happens is you see a couple of turnovers by the Packers, and you're kind of wondering, oh, no, is this going to go the wrong way? But it didn't hurt them, whereas they were able to make this situation work in their favor because of the pressure they put on the Rams. And that defense, to me, really set that tone and opened things up for the offense because they limited the Rams' offense to less than 200 yards and 200 total yards. They really never got into a rhythm offensively, and they couldn't because the Packers' defense realized that Brett Rippon was going to have to try to throw the ball on 3rd and long a lot because they weren't running the ball. So they just kind of seemed to know what was coming. And that, to me, is where things transition for the offense.
And that's where we're saying the turnovers kind of favored the Packers, Lily, because it was complementary football. Yes, each team had some giveaways, but the Packers cashed in when they had their takeaways. And a lot of football games have gone the other way in recent years in Green Bay.
Right. And I think, again, talking about playing complementary football is such a good thing for this team because it was progress, right? They had 10 points off 2 takeaways from the Packers defense, and I think that was the encouraging thing, was making progress, being able to capitalize on a gift from your defense because, this was a team that needed some gifts. They needed some stops, and they finally got it from their defense, and they were able to put points on the board. I think that just says a lot about the growth of this team, despite it, again, being against a lesser opponent. But these are the drives and the things that you need in terms of seeing how your team progresses as they do move forward to very tough competition.
This is the anniversary of the instant replay game. The famous Don Mikowski, was he over the line, not over the line, asterisk in the Bears media guide. Great game in Packers history. Was John Runyon Jr. over the line? It was such an unusual part of today's game on these short yardage plays.
Well, and you can see the frustration that he was feeling from that. I mean, he gets called twice for being offsides on 4th and 1 for the Packers when they look to get a first down, and he comes off the field, he throws his helmet down. You see what Matt LaFleur is feeling, and nobody really knew after the game if he really was offside or not. And it was drive killers because they had to end up punting and not continuing the drive. So there was some frustration there. But what you have to wonder is why are these being called all of a sudden? Because, you know, you hadn't seen these calls made previously, and then all of a sudden here we are in Week 9, their 8th game, and these calls are being made. It's an interesting thing. So how do they clean that up? They did it in the second half. They didn't put themselves in a position to create, you know, bad penalties to take them out of promising drives. So to me, they learned from it at halftime, but it was a very tough learn because it was key drives that were being stalled by the call.
No question about it. It's halftime for us on the first segment of the Blitz. That means it's time for the Fox 6 Blitz Insta Poll. You can go to the question right there. You can scan the QR code right on the screen, or you can go to fox6now.com. What do you think about the NBA's in-season tournament? First time out for this experience. Bucks are winning 2 titles this season. Could that be? It's pointless. I don't care. I'm confused. It feels like the playoffs. So some interesting options. We want to hear from you.
It was very different. I feel like the atmosphere, and I know our guys wanted to win. You know, we don't want to miss Vegas. You know, so we're trying to win.
You know, it's this great experience for us. It was a playoff atmosphere. I was a playoff team we played, a great team we played. So definitely help us down the road, and we'll bank on this experience.
Hey, Marjan. Hey, Brooke. Here are your talking points. Stay to them. You into this at all?
You know, but, you know, I'm not playing the game. But, you know, I do think it is good for the Bucks to be playing some tough competition. The Knicks are a good team. Jalen Brunson certainly took it to them. Yeah, they can say it's, you know, it feels like a playoff atmosphere. But listen, you're in the first week of basketball, right? You're in the first week of playing NBA basketball. And the Bucks certainly took some hits, and they certainly came back and fought and clawed and kept the win to themselves at home. But, you know, we'll see how they do. You know, I don't think it's the end-all be-all if the Bucks don't win the NBA in-season tournament. But, you know, it's fun for, I guess, fans and for teams to kind of say, hey, we can maybe win 2 titles this year. But, you know, I will say for this game, though, I did like the fact that the Bucks changed their defensive philosophy, quote unquote, in some ways in terms of having Brook back under the basket, and we saw his impact there with 8 blocks. So that was one positive I'd say from that game.
The guys say in the offseason, we want to raise a banner. I'm not sure that in-season tournament
well,
banner.
They got a new uniform and a new court out of it, so there is something.
Check out the look there, no question about it. As for the week in general, prior to the in-season tournament, up and down, and so far that's been the season so far for the Bucks.
And I'm wondering how frustrated they are feeling. I know the fan base is feeling frustrated because there's so much hype with this team and there are so many expectations, yet they get blown out a couple of times, and then they win a couple of close games where Damian Lillard takes over at the end. I mean, it is, you know, 5 games into the season, but to me what you have to wonder is how long will it take for this team to gel together and get used to one another on the court? How long will it take for Adrian Griffin to feel comfortable with what he is putting out there? Obviously, Lily, you just made the point of making that defensive change with Brook Lopez. That was something he took from the players. So, you know, where are they going to be, you know, come Christmas Day when the NBA season truly starts to gain momentum? That's what I think is what we have to watch for. The one thing that I don't think fans or the team has to worry about, though, is getting too far behind by Christmas Day. But it is something to me that is interesting that they can't seem to put it together consistently yet, even though they are 5 games in.
A lot of focus on Damian Lillard's offensive numbers, but Giannis Antetokounmpo is still there for this team, Lily, and he's been pretty solid in the fill out the stat line type categories.
Yeah, and even so, I just feel like this kind of is a different sort of feel in terms of a start for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's certainly putting the points up there. He's getting the rebounds. touchdowns, but there's some games where it looks a little different in terms of just turning the ball over. He's kind of turning it over in bunches in a couple of games. Looks a little sloppy, looks a little slow, but it's Giannis. He'll get his legs under him, and again, this is the first week of basketball. He'll figure things out, but just having his presence under the rim, he's hitting some threes, which was fun to see. Just seeing him and Dame and their ability to gel has been, really fun, but it's not the peak Giannis yet, which is scary because if he's putting up these numbers thus far and hasn't played his best basketball yet, the best is still to come for this team.
How about Adrian Griffin with the best is still to come, or the evaluation process? I don't sense much of a honeymoon necessarily for a new coach. Looks like, people are demanding results right away, partly because of the trade that was made for Lillard and the expectations on the team.
And I think that's what happens when you build a roster like this. That automatically goes onto into the responsibility of the head coach. If it's his first game, if it's his 1,000th game, this is his job, and I don't think he has room to learn as much as other coaches would with a lesser roster. So that's good and bad, I think, and he is learning on the fly. But what you're seeing there is that these guys are still trusting in him, and he's trusting in them, and I think that is a good sign moving forward.
There've been give and take so far. Sure, no doubt about it. All right, when the kicker goes down, we're talking NFL football, who do you turn to? He's not the lonesome kicker. He's Daria Gumbawale. Bangs it through. He's a running back special teamer. You remember the former Badger, Marquette High School product. He's in there, and he makes a 29-yard field goal for the Houston Texans. That was actually a go-ahead field goal at the time. First time he's kicked in a game since his days at Marquette High. Pretty cool stuff there. And speaking of Badgers and surprises maybe, Wisconsin hockey late on Saturday night, winning another one, 2 straight against Michigan. This team is off to one of the best starts in the nation, and nobody really saw it coming. New coach, and boom, the Badgers are skating away. Their 3rd consecutive sweep. We're right back in a moment on the Blitz.
Did you find yourself channeling your inner Hulk tonight?
What do you think?
I don't get your question.
Certainly, you're talking about one of the all-time greats.
Want the Hulk voice or Jan's voice?
That's a good question. But the thing that was echoed in the locker room was, savor this feeling. Is this my phone?
That's like some...
I didn't even know I had that song downloaded. I kept hearing it, and I'm like trying to turn it down while you guys... I seen it said Born something.
Born to Run.
Born to Run. I was born to run, guys. What can I say?
Apparently not a fan of the boss, but maybe he is now after that today. Let's shift gears now to basketball. We were talking about the expectations of the Bucks. The other team that plays in that building has a lot of expectations too. Marquette tipping off its season tomorrow, coming in as the 5th-ranked team in the country. How do you think they're built to handle this kind of pressure?
Very high expectations, you're exactly right. Marquette's kind of the antithesis of what's going on in college sports. They're kind of draft and develop. You're not going out and getting a bunch of transfers. You're building this team. It's a lot of continuity from last year, which is, of course, a very successful season. I think they're built to be in the spotlight. They're ready for this, and this is the group that they intend to be very successful with.
The Badgers built kind of the same way. It's all through the program. Now guys are starting to show that they have experience. How much is that experience going to help them as they are just outside the rankings to start the season?
I think it'll be big because, they're coming off a disappointing season to their standards, to everyone's standards with Badgers basketball. You have a lot of returning faces. Can Chucky Hepburn take on that role? An increased role as a leader. Can Tyler Wall and those guys really improve? I think just having another year under their belts together as a team certainly will help this team. They struggled offensively last year. Can they pick that up? So I think a lot of eyeballs on this team to see if they can get back to peak Badgers basketball form after a disappointing season.
In the Horizon League, UWM has a lot of promise, and they have expectations they've put on themselves. Is this team now going to be a team that can threaten the top of the Horizon League?
Should be, but there are a lot of teams that are kind of getting some love in the Horizon League this year. There's a lot of talent spread around that league. I think Bart Lundy is really, he could have maybe pursued some other options in the offseason. He wants to keep going here with the talent he's assembled here. Very interesting year for them, and very interesting position. UWM has not been in that position in a long time as kind of one of the hunted teams at least.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do. I know that one ranking has them 21st in mid-majors. We will see what that does for them as the Horizon League gets going tomorrow as well. Well, let's check in on our Instant Poll question. Remember, you can go directly to it by scanning this code or going to our website, fox6now.com. What do you think about the NBA's in-season tournament? Most of you right now are saying it's just pointless. But we'll look for more of your answers later on in the show. Now, UW Hoops hopes to be in the same spot as the women's soccer program at season's end. The Panthers capturing their 6th straight Horizon League title, beating Northern Kentucky 1-0. Brooke Parnello converted a late penalty to send UWM to the NCAA tournament. Coming up next, our high school hotshot.
Welcome back. If you're a fan of TV shows like The Queen's Gambit, and reintroduce the sport to a massive audience, and this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot has taken his love for kings, queens, and bishops to another level.
My name is Hirsch Singh. I'm a senior at University School of Milwaukee, and I'm a captain of the chess team. I've been playing chess since 1st grade. My grandpa taught me how to play chess, and then in 1st grade after school we had classes.
Would you say your grandpa's pretty good?
Well, compared to me at the time, he was.
Okay.
I continued at the after-school classes at school, and then I played in a tournament that was hosted by the school, and I played good in it, so I continued. I found it exciting, so I was passionate about it. I played in a lot of local tournaments, and I've also played in state tournaments for my age and at the US Open. And then this summer I played at the Pan American. I played in the U18 section and I got 2nd. First place was International Master title, and 2nd and 3rd were FIDE Master, so now I'm a FIDE Master. And FIDE is the world organization for chess. Yeah, my end goal is to get a Grandmaster title. Yeah, I've been to Greece, Canada, Mexico, Ecuador, Costa Rica. I play the harmonium, which is a musical instrument. It's like a mix of a piano and an accordion. My dad started me with it at a young age, at 5 years old. My sister Arad Kaur is also a competitive chess player. It's 4 of us and we all play chess. We don't really play competitively, we try to help against each other, we try to help each other. It's not going to be my career or anything, but I'm still going to continue to practice and play in tournaments competitively. My name is Hirsch Singh. I'm a senior at University School of Milwaukee, and I'm a FIDE Master in chess. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
And like Hirsch mentioned, he recently earned that title of FIDE Master, which is the 3rd highest chess ranking in the world. He's the first player from Wisconsin to achieve that since 2013. Meanwhile, plenty of championships were captured this weekend. Starting at girls volleyball, the Divine Savior Holy Angels took home the Division I crown for the 2nd straight season. Madison Quest and Sophia Wendlick led the way for the Dashers with 46 of their 52 kills against Oconomowoc. This is the program's 4th state title in the last decade. On the pitch, 2 local boys soccer teams hoisted a gold ball on Saturday. In his first state tournament appearance, Union Grove captured the Division II title. They beat West Pier 1-0. And then how about the Shoreland Lutheran won its first championship since 2007 as they knocked off top-seeded St. Mary's Catholic 2-0. And finally, we only have a few local teams left in the high school football state playoffs. Franklin and Terrence Shelton advanced to level 4 of the playoffs with a win over Muskego, and watch that determined run there, dragging some defenders into the end zone. And that is good enough for our play of the week. And in a week, we'll find out which teams are playing in Madison for a state title. I'll be at our game of the week in Oconomowoc as Badger takes on Sun Prairie East. As for the rest of our teams in Division I, Franklin battles Sussex Hamilton, while Marquette takes on Kimberly. In Division III, Grafton hopes to continue its run against Stoughton. In Division IV, Catholic Memorial faces Luxembourg Casco. And in Division V, it's Horicon Eustisford versus Aquinas. We'll be back with a look at the week ahead. Keep it here.
In-depth, in-season tournament Insta poll. It's pointless, according to our viewers.
And the Packers, they do play the Steelers on Sunday in the Steel City. We'll see if they can get another win, guys.
And the Badgers, they host Northwestern this week before the Bucks now.
Bucks at the Nets, yeah, and then a home game, and then 2 road games follow that.
And hey, college basketball returns tomorrow, guys, and Marquette, they are tipping off their season against Northern Illinois.
Yeah, Wisconsin has Arkansas State, and then at the end of the week, they have Tennessee.
So that's a blur of activity this week. And obviously the basketball tipping off for college basketball is probably one of the most notable aspects of it. Do you think these teams with these high expectations are all going to meet those high expectations?
I certainly hope so. It'd make for some more fun coverage for us here in Wisconsin, right?
Absolutely.
Well, and it's going to make it interesting. I mean, because if we're talking into February and March about these teams still being competitive and fighting for something, I mean, this could be a real magical year.
Absolutely. So we'll have a lot of it for you here on Fox 6, on the Fox 6 Sports Blitz as well. And as we said, a very busy week coming up. For Lily and Brandon, I'm Tim. Thank you for tuning in this evening. Have a great week. We'll see you again next Sunday night.